The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Look, I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Friday, and boy, we got a ton of stuff to talk about. But I know CJ is hot on one issue. You want to cover the other stuff quickly before we...
Well, what's the one issue I'm hot on?
You want to do that first, right?
Well, what is it?
Huh?
What is it?
The RDA and the city.
Oh, yeah, no, that's definitely a hot issue, and that's right here on the top, right on the top of our list.
Oh, I know, but
I
you know, because I know you got a lot to say about that issue. You've been following this thing closely.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't know if you wanted to just touch on some of this other.
Well, I want to quickly address, because it's happening this weekend. We got a couple of things happening this weekend. Tomorrow is BCC's commencement. So if you have any students, any family members that are here at BCC, they'll be graduating tomorrow. Please come by. There's plenty of seats outside. It looks like it's going to be a real nice event, and I've seen the setup for the video broadcast. It will be broadcast live on Channel 95, and the video will also be replayed several times. So if you want to watch it from home, feel free.
And they have numerous monitors, too, also up at the facility, because I think for the first time they're having the graduation exercise under the awnings that they have on that parking, the new
under
parking
the
facility.
parking deck, right.
Yeah, so they may be, you may have to sit near, you may have a difficult time maybe getting a perfect angle, but you'll have monitors. There are ample monitors there, so
Which is
come
always
and celebrate a milestone in someone who is near and dear to you's traveled through life, because it's an achievement, and it's good when we see people moving in a positive direction.
Yes, it is. Many people may have heard there's a big controversy going on here in Fall River about a drag queen who identifies as a queer Marxist, which I think was just as funny, who's going to read to children at the library tomorrow. The rumor going around was that it was canceled. It wasn't Fall River's that was canceled. It was Bristol's. And in a town like Bristol, you can expect that. But a letter to the editor went on went as the lead story on the Herald News website. And it was letter to the editor, the library should cancel ill-advised drag queen story time. It was written by Tim McGuire from Fall River. Everyone's entitled to their free speech. I'm not in either way on this story. I will tell you, though, that the police are aware that Pamela Liberté-LeBeau is part of this group to promote this. So is Steve Camara. And it's very interesting because this is happening in Boston, it's happening in New Bedford, it's happening all over tomorrow. And they don't want Fall River to be one of the big cities, I guess. Many people are saying that this is hate speech and this is a hate, should be classified as a hate crime of some type. People are entitled to their First Amendment rights. If you want to read the letter to the editor, I would suggest you go on the Herald News website and read the letter to the editor, because I'm not going to justify reading that letter on the show for any reason. Whether I'm for or against this issue, I'm not going to justify hate speech of any type.
Well, I have to make a slight comment. I'm not going to read the letter either. I will get those letters that I mix up all the time right, because it's in the article, and I shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming they're right, LGBTQ agenda. But listen, this individual who wrote this letter has every right to his opinion.
Exactly.
As do every American have a right to their opinion. There is freedom of speech, regardless of whether you agree or disagree. You can agree with the American Nazi Party. But I'm going to tell you what disturbs me about this. We have to be balanced and fair to this. How about the other side? I'm not against anything, but I'm against the politicizing of everything. Why do we have to identify this individual at all? Why does she have to put a label, Queer Marxist? Why does they have to have any labels? They're Americans. They have freedom of speech. Allow them to go and do whatever they do and evaluate what they do on the content of what they do. Because, again, we have a situation here where this is becoming actually a political action on the part of that agenda. So we have two agendas battling, and it's like arguing over pro-life and pro-choice. It's an argument you can't win. But what disturbs me about this is we have people with an agenda that are using this as a political platform. This is transcended story time, and this is what they want. They want to promote their position, and I think that the media contributes to this. As you said, there's a letter to the editor. There's a situation where they're going to have this reading. If for some reason you don't want to go to the reading, or well, fine, don't go. It's like going to a strip club. If you want to go to a strip club and stuff dollar bills in somebody's G-string, that's fine. If you're 21 and they're your dollar bills and you haven't stolen them, some people may think that's absurd, may think it's reprehensible, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. We should not infringe on the rights of others. They're guaranteed. And I don't care what, frankly, I don't care what this person identifies themselves as. I've told you quite often on this show, I don't like labels. I don't believe in labels. They're a bunch of crap. They're there just to justify agendas. There's no such thing as a liberal, a conservative, or a moderate, because everybody's liberal about what they want, conservative about what they've got, and moderate about what they don't give a crap about.
Exactly.
Nobody's far right, far left. They're far right on the issues that they want, that they're personally going to help their agenda. These are labels that are put upon by politicians. This is Goebbels propaganda at its best. We create labels, and when we create labels, what we do is we disenfranchise people. We create subgroups, which now we can love or hate. This is what Adolf Hitler did when he created the Aryan. He wanted the Aryans to control the world, to be the only people in the world. And how did they do it? They make all other groups appear subhuman. They started with trade unionists and Jews, and I've read Nehemiah's speech a million times. But think about it. That's what I disagree with. This letter to the editor I disagree with. The fact that this individual who's doing the reading felt compelled to identify and put a label to make it political. You want to give a reading, give a reading. I don't care if you're from Mars. If I want to listen to the reading, I'll listen to the reading. And that's one of the problems. We do not judge, as Martin Luther King once said, judge people on the content of their character.
Boy, you want something real, don't you?
You know? No, but I'm saying, but this really irritates me, because they're condemning this guy, and you cannot agree with this guy.
Right.
But, it's not, he has a right to speech, but the left side of the aisle is always doing that. That reminds me because it's just every time I turn on the TV or read something, it's always about this kind of crap. Because if Omar can condemn every Jew in the world and say they're evil, but if somebody said you shouldn't condemn them, you're a racist. You're against me. And that's what they do. And, there's no dual standard here. I don't care if this person's identify themselves as a queer Marxist. Personally, I don't care. I don't care who serves me food. I don't care who reads a book. I don't care what they do. As long as they don't infringe on my ability to live my life the way I want to live it, I don't care what particular label they want to put on themselves or society. And if more people thought that way, we wouldn't have the problems we were. And if we look at these people, they are pushing their agenda even harder than this individual who sent in the letter to the editor.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, the only label I look for is the union label. Look
Yeah.
for the union
That's
label.
right. Yeah, look for the, exactly, look for the union label. But as I said, these labels are all crap. Think
Yeah.
about it.
Well, the worst part about it is they plan on doing a sit-in at the library.
Yeah.
And, you know, the thing that they're missing is there will be children at this event. Allegedly, there'll be children at this event.
Yep.
You know, unless parents decide they're not going to put their children through that, which I would not blame them. And they're going to make them feel uncomfortable. Not because there's a drag queen there, or not because there's somebody who's gay or straight or transgender or whatever the case may be. They're going to make them feel uncomfortable because these people who want to push their agenda are going to ruin an event for children.
And you know, if you look at little children who haven't formulated an opinion from their environment, they're virtually, they are virtually prejudice-free. You
Exactly.
can put children in of any color, any race, any orientation, and they'll play together. These are learned behaviors, and these people are teaching these people to hate on both sides.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's my problem with this issue. Because this is the society, the political correctness has destroyed this society because each side of the political correct aisle is only pushing their own agenda. We've completely forgotten this is about somebody reading a story to children.
And some arts and crafts.
Yeah, and some arts and crafts. And what are they going to do? Now they're going to have a sit-in. They're going to be running around and teaching these children. To teaching these children to divide themselves based on societal labels. Labels that we impose, where if they leave this country and go to another country, the labels are completely different. So talk about total confusion. You know, we're creating a generation of children who can't cope with anything because they're confused about everything, because the labels that we apply in the United States are not applied in Sharia law countries. They're not applied in some countries in Europe. The cultures are completely different. And that's the problem. This is not what this was intended to be. This nation was supposed to be a country where all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator, you know, to seek life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in any way they want. And every single day we see this country, and it starts right at the top with our Congress and our federal government, we're teaching people to divide this nation. And this nation was originated to become a melting pot and to have everybody become Americans, as Theodore Roosevelt said when he gave his great speech. There's no such thing as a hyphenated American. You become an American. You come here to live the American dream, to be just one of a people, because this is not a homogeneous country by its makeup. All the people came here as immigrants. And this is not like Japan, where everybody who's born in Japan is normally Japanese. And was for a very, very long time. This country, like Australia, except for the Aborigines, who also got there by some other way, we're not homogeneous, you know. We are not all the same. We came here. Well, in Australia, they sent them there because they were prisoners. Yeah, they were the criminals in England. England dumped all the criminals. They shipped them all to Australia, all the worst criminals. But look how that turned out. Australia is a beautiful country. Why? It seems that they can accept their differences, and they all consider them Australians. There's a tremendous amount of nationalism, which is another thing that's condemned. We can't love our country. You know, we have to break ourselves up into splinter groups and hate each other, and that's the element that the people who are trying to control you want. Divide and conquer. United we stand, divided we fall. We find every conceivable manner to divide ourselves, and that's tragic. So
It is. It's a shame.
we went. See, that was a short one that we developed because it's a nerve. It hits a nerve ending with me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Well, the RDA, the
There we go.
Redevelopment Authority.
Go for it.
Let me tell you something. The RDA is going to be the biggest bunch of political hacks I've ever seen in my life.
Wait a
Ever.
minute. Tell it like it is, CJ.
That's
Will
right.
you? Okay.
Okay, look, here's the thing that gets me. At the RDA meeting, 2 meetings back, they had a presentation. We spoke about it briefly on the show about plans for an entertainment center on the Fall River City Pier. And it moved ahead. And that was back, what was that? May 28th, I guess that meeting was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're going to build a nice pier, a venue, everything else. Now, initially, I didn't hear anything about a contract fee. There is a contract fee for that lease, and it's $6,000, $6,000 and change a year. Nobody spoke about that. Who set that fee? Who said it? The RDA didn't talk about it, but a fee came out of it. So again, where did that fee come from? And he's only paying it for 6 months, but he's got the venue for the entire year. Again, another problem. He's got a seasonal license for alcohol, which, by the way, he applied for the alcohol license 7 days before or 5 days before the RDA meeting, which means he knew the lease was in the bag. He knew the lease was in the bag.
You think?
And remember, Betancourt is the mayor's girlfriend's father.
Or is it Fernandez?
One of them is.
I think it's Fernandez
Might be
because it's Betancourt. But did you notice who the attorney was?
It's Arthur Frank.
Arthur Frank, former corporation counsel
Exactly.
for Bob Carrere.
Right.
So these guys never go away. These
No.
political ticks, whether they be in the law department or whether they be in an appointed position like the RDA, they just never go away. And when we look at this litany, now, okay, you started. This was the beginning. So we've got a friend of the mayor, or the father of a friend of the mayor, a very close friend of the mayor, getting an entertainment venue, which is going to be temporary, I believe you said in our conversation
Yes.
last night. This isn't going to even be a permanent fixture in Fall River.
And he's going to invest $1.9 million
Yeah.
in building a facility. That, by the way, may only last for 5 years because once, according to what was reported, once 79 opens up, because they want to open up that as a boulevard now, as you know, that venue is that will end the venue. But a license for $6,000 6 months, $1,000 a month is cheap. Now again, the alcohol license was filed 5 days before the license for the thing. A public notice regarding the application still has to be published before the licensing board can vote on the application for alcohol. Betancourt and Fernandez, so it is Fernandez, by the way. And by the way, Fernandez also got a liquor license for Purchase Street. It's not open yet, but it's Purchase Street. Oh, wait a minute. David Hebert got a liquor license for Bank Street. And there's nothing there either. When David and the mayor were friends.
You don't need a liquor license. All you need is to be friendly with the mayor.
Right.
We know that. So that's been defined. So here we go. So we had the plans, and then what happened, CJ? Give us the...
Well, here's the funny part about it. They've got all these plans going, and now a federal agency is checking into the status of the contamination cleanup at the Fall River City Piers. We knew when they started this project way long ago that it was contaminated with PCBs, cancer-causing agent.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to report quarterly to the EPA on the status of that because they want to put sod, grass, on the city pier so that people can enjoy it, and they wanted to have the pier open for July 4th, and they wanted to have this entertainment venue open for July 4th.
Yeah.
But if there's still contamination, they have to put blacktop over the pier, which they don't want to do. But now they can't do anything at the city pier. Everything's placed on hold because they screwed up. And the RDA is trying to blame Kenny Fiola. They said Kenny Fiola was supposed to make these reports when he was the consultant on the City Pier project.
Well, isn't Kenny Fiola
actually at fault for everything now since they got rid of him?
Of course.
I mean, I think he actually worked for the Japanese to plan the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
He must
I'm
have.
not sure. Maybe he was on the grassy knoll too, because I don't understand how they can blame somebody who wasn't working. I mean, what is he going to do it for free, for gratis after they canned him? They gave him the boot. I mean, that's what most people do, right? Some company gives you the boot after 20 years of work, and
You keep going back to work.
and you run back and do everything for free for them and make
Right.
sure all. They fired you because you weren't doing a good job. They don't replace you for a year or so, and they don't. And then they expect all the I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, even though that was your job and they canned you. But they didn't replace you with anybody that would dot the I's and cross the T's.
Right.
But then they blame you. So, you know, as you well know, we do not see eye to eye on everything Ken does. But, you know Ken. We had Ken on the show, and he was very, very clear. He had a lot of documentation. People really enjoyed that show. But the reality is that, you know, you can't just play this, you know, it's always somebody else's fault. That's one of the things you can always tell about someone who never accepts responsibility for what they do. It's like building maintenance. We never talk about the fact that we have to get all these bonds to replace buildings. They don't do their job, but it's somebody else's fault all the time. Now the RDA doesn't do their job, doesn't ensure that everything is done in accordance with the law. Everybody knew, except apparently the RDA, that they had contaminants down there. But they don't do the job, and now they blame Kenny Fiola. So good, at least they're not going to blame Spindle City Straight Talk this time. So, so I guess we have to, you know, we have to look at the glass as being half full right now, rather than half empty.
The thing is that, you know, they're blaming him for everything. I mean, initially the Pier construction project was set for $3.7 million. As of today, $5.9 million has already been spent, and the work is still not complete at the pier. They're blaming Ken for that. Well, there were change orders. Here we go. Change orders. You know those change orders? Change orders came in. I don't know if they were approved by Ken Fiola. I don't know if they weren't approved by Ken Fiola. I don't know if they were approved by the RDA. But change orders came in because they needed more gravel. They needed more this. They needed more that. You know, in a project like that, things come up that you're not foreseeing. So, and I hate change orders because you know what? When I sign a contract with a contractor, that's what they get paid. They don't get paid for other things.
Yeah, unless they renegotiate.
Unless they renegotiate the contract.
Exactly. But, you know, the irony of this thing is you're talking about this, and they're blaming Ken Fiola. You know that Ken Fiola would not have, you know, number one, they didn't want Ken Fiola involved in this process. That's why they gave him the boot.
Exactly.
Because they couldn't give the mayor's girlfriend's father this deal. Ken Fiola is an attorney. He would have known he was going to get drawn and quartered if he didn't put anything out for bid, just did this under the radar, stuck it in front of a bunch of bobbleheads on a committee that were all appointed by the mayor virtually, and just run this up the flagpole to basically give them all kinds of freebies. And this guy's going to invest $2 million for something that he may only have for 5 years. That doesn't make business sense, economic sense at all. It doesn't make economic sense to build something temporary. Put a tent up there. You know, put a tent. Don't spend a lot of money, because after 79 is built, we may have an entire new perspective on what has to be done on the waterfront after it's completed. So this is all BS. This is all the mayor making money, helping his friends make money, giving his friends contracts, giving his friends everything, and the RDA nodding their heads in agreement because they are acolytes of the mayor. So this is a crock from the beginning to the end. But the little line that I liked in this one 11 hours ago, Fall River Development News, said, further redevelopment of the City Pier along the Fall River waterfront is officially on hold. So that's the last, and we had an intermediate step, CJ, so you can kind of hit that intermediate step when they went back to the RDA. And there was another entity that wanted to avail themselves of this too, that went before the RDA.
Right.
So heaven forbid, you know.
God forbid. And that's another problem with this, because it was never put out for a request for proposal.
Yeah.
Nobody bid on this. This was, a done deal. This was a friendly deal, a backroom deal entered into by the RDA and by the mayor and the principals. The other thing is that when you look at the members of the RDA, you have a problem too, because they spoke about the fact that Narragansett Brewing Company signed a memorandum of understanding. Well, a member of the RDA has a business relationship with Narragansett Brewing Company. And nobody recused themselves.
Conflict of interest.
Ethical violation.
Screaming.
Ethical violation. This is why this keeps happening. And nobody in Fall River does anything. And the licensing board...
Patrick, are you listening?
Oh, he is. Believe me, he is. And the licensing board takes it one step further, because right now they scheduled a special meeting for, I think it is June 3rd. Is it June 3rd? Let me see.
You got it in the calendar. Let me check
I've already got it here. It's 3 p.m. on June 11th. I knew it was 3 in there somewhere. 3 p.m. on June 11th, the licensing board is having a special meeting for one thing, to give a license to Five Guys to open. You would think Five Guys would have applied for that license before they got to this point. But the licensing board does this all the time. They constantly have special meetings because people forget to file their applications. Hey, there's a rule. File the application on time. Our meeting is held at this date, this time. If your application's not in, too bad. Every year, the licensing board has said, if you haven't filed your renewal paperwork by November 30th, you will not have your license to open on January 1st. But you know how many times they've scheduled meetings week after week after week before January 1st to make sure they got all those licenses out? If people can't run their business, hey, they don't belong in business. And the licensing board should not be meeting to meet friends' needs.
You're right, and this is about greed, big business, and political, and that's what ruins a country, the politics and the business. But I got to just touch on this quickly, because this really another nerve here. Nurses Union presses hospitals for financial transparency.
Yep.
And this is by Cynthia McCormick from the Cape Cod Times and redone in the Herald News. They said that Massachusetts hospitals had at least $1.6 billion stowed away in offshore tax havens in fiscal year 2017, including nearly $30 million placed in an account in the Cayman Islands by Cape Cod Healthcare. These are the nurses that have to go on strike to get a pay raise. You wonder why your healthcare is so much. How much money? Now, let me explain something in case you don't know the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands is the Switzerland of this hemisphere. All the cartels, all the shady dealers put their money in the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands are extremely beautiful islands, very expensive, and they are predominantly banks, like in Switzerland. And this is where criminals hide their money, their ill-gotten gains. So the fact that hospitals that are operating in the United States charging Medicare and the people and the taxpayers and getting a lot of tax breaks, some of them are non-profits like Charlton, and stowing this kind of money away, there needs to be not only a disclosure of that money, but how that money was gained. How much fraudulent billing went on? How much did they abuse the healthcare system? We wonder why we have the most expensive healthcare system in the world and one of the least effective. Yeah, we've got some great hospitals, but I can't remember, I haven't checked recently, but the last time I checked infant mortality in the United States, we were in the 40s.
Yeah, we're pretty high up
There were third world countries with lower infant mortality rates than we have in the United States. And we don't rank really high in anything. We have hospitals that are the best in the world. But the average health care that the average American gets is subpar, and it is 10 times more expensive than it is anywhere in the world. This is outrageous. You know,
well, the nurses
depositing money in the Cayman Islands.
And the nurses union wants them to repay some of that money to Medicare and Medicaid.
That's right. But, and that's your tax dollars and my tax dollars. And will Congress address this? Hell no. Bet you those hospitals give them a lot of money.
Of course.
So again, if you can't stay angry, watch the RDA meeting.
Hey, have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
And it's going to be beautiful, so enjoy it.
Oh, and I will not be here Monday.
You will not.
I will be at the at the Cape at the conference. I got to go get my continuing education credits.
Oh, okay. Are you going to be here Wednesday?
No.
Okay, so Monday and Wednesday you won't be here. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.